Word of Mouth is an adult story time presented by the Juliette Hampton Morgan Memorial Library. News stories are posted every month on the second Sunday at 2:30 p.m. If you enjoyed today's program, please consider liking and subscribing to our YouTube page or following our Facebook. As a reminder, some stories contain adult language and content. It is recommended you review stories before allowing younger audiences to listen.
Hello, and welcome to another Word of Mouth. My name is Lindsay Hamilton, and today I will be reading On Girlhood, 15 Stories from the Well-Read Black Girl Library by Glory Edim. And today I will be reading a few entries. Here we go. This first story is called Girl by Jamaica Kincaid. This is how you smile to someone you don't like too much. This is how you smile to someone you don't like at all. This is how you smile to someone you like completely. Wash the white clothes on Monday and put them on the stone heap. Wash the color clothes on Tuesday and put them on the clothesline to dry. Don't walk barehead in the hot sun. Cook pumpkin fritters in very hot sweet oil. Soak your little cloths right after you take them off. When buying cotton to make yourself a nice blouse, be sure that it doesn't have gum on it, because that way it won't hold up well after a wash. Soak saltfish overnight before you cook it. Is it true that you sing Benna in Sunday school? Always eat your food in such a way that it won't turn someone else's stomach. On Sunday, try to walk like a lady and not like the slut you are so bent on becoming. Don't sing Benna in Sunday school. You mustn't speak to wharf rat boys, not even to give directions. Don't eat fruits on the street. Flies will follow you. But I don't sing Benna on Sundays at all, and never in Sunday school. This is how to sew on a button. This is how to make a buttonhole for the button you have just sewn on. This is how to sew a hem, to hem a dress. When you see the hem coming down, sew to prevent yourself from looking like the skank I know you are so bent on becoming. This is how you iron your father's khaki shirt so that it doesn't have a crease. This is how you iron your father's khaki pants so that they don't have a crease. This is how you grow okra, far from the house, because okra trees harbor red ants. When you're growing dasheen, make sure it gets plenty of water, or else it'll make your throat itch when you're eating it. This is how you sweep a corner. This is how you sweep a house. This is how you sweep a yard. This is how you smile when you don't like too much. This is how you smile to someone you don't like at all. This is how you smile to someone you like completely. This is how you set a table for tea. This is how you set a table for dinner. This is how you set a table for dinner with an important guest. This is how you set a table for lunch. This is how you set a table for breakfast. This is how to behave in the presence of men who don't know you very well. And this way, they won't recognize immediately the skank that I warned you against becoming. Be sure to wash every day, even if it's with your own spit. Don't squat down and play marbles. You're not a boy, you know. Don't pick people's flowers. You might catch something. Don't throw stones at blackbirds, because it might not be a blackbird at all. This is how to make a bread pudding. This is how to make dokona. This is how to make pepper pot. This is how to make a good medicine for a cold. This is how to make good medicine to throw away a child before it even becomes a child. This is how to catch a fish. This is how to throw back a fish you don't like. That way, something bad won't fall on you. This is how to bully a man. This is how a man bullies you. This is how to love a man. And if this doesn't work, there are other ways. And if they don't work, don't feel too bad about giving up. This is how to spit up in the air if you feel like it. And this is how to move quickly so it doesn't fall on you. This is how to make ends meet. Always squeeze bread to make sure it's fresh. But what if the baker won't let me feel the bread? You mean to say that after all, you really are going to be the kind of woman who the baker won't let near the bread? So that is the end of the first story. Now on to our next story. This next one is called The Richer, the Poorer by Dorothy West. Over the years, Lottie had urged Bess to prepare for her old age. Over the years, Bess had lived each day as if there were no other. Now they were both past 60, the time for summing up. Lottie had a bank account that had never grown lean. Bess had the clothes on her back and the rest of her worldly possessions in a battered suitcase. Lottie had hated being a child, hearing her parents scrimping and scramping. Bess had never seemed to notice. All she ever wanted was to go outside and play. She learned to skate on borrowed skates. She rode a borrowed bicycle. Lottie couldn't wait to grow up and buy herself the best of everything. As soon as anyone would hire her, Lottie put herself to work. She minded babies. She ran errands for the old. She never touched a penny of her money, though her child's mouth watered for ice cream and candy. But she could not bear to share with Bess, who never had anything to share with her. When the dimes began to add up to dollars, she lost her taste for sweets. By the time she was 12, she was clerking after school in a small variety store. Saturdays, she worked as long as she was wanted. She decided to keep her money for clothes. When she entered high school, she would wear a wardrobe that neither she nor anyone else would be able to match. But her freshman year found her unable to indulge so frivolous a whim, particularly when her admiring instructors advised her to think seriously for college. No one in her family had ever gone to college, and certainly Bess would never get there. She would show them all what she could do, if she put her mind to it. She began to bank her money, and her bank book became her most private and precious possession. In her third year of high school, she found a job in a small but expanding restaurant, where she cashiered from the busy hour until morning. In her last year of high school, the business increased so rapidly that Lottie had faced with the choice of staying in school or working full-time. She made her choice so easily. A job in hand was worth two in the future. Bess had a beau in the school band, who had no other ambition except to play a horn. Lottie expected to be settled with a home and family, while Bess was still waiting for Harry to earn enough to buy a marriage license. That Bess married Harry straight out of high school was not surprising. That Lottie never married at all was not really surprising either. 2 or 3 times she was halfway persuaded, but to give up a job that paid well for a homemaking job that paid nothing was a risk she was incapable of taking. Bess's married life was nothing for Lottie to envy. She and Harry lived like gypsies. Harry played in second-rate bands all over the country, even getting himself and Bess stranded in Europe. They were often in rags and never in riches. Bess grieved because she had no child, not having sense enough to know she was better off without one. Lottie was certainly better off without nieces and nephews to feel sorry for. Very likely, Bess would have dumped them on her doorstep. That Lottie had a doorstep they might have been left on was only because her boss, having bought a second house, offered Lottie his first house at a price so low and terms so reasonable that it would have been like losing money to refuse. She shut off the rooms she didn't use, let them go to rack and ruin. Since she ate her meals out, she had no food at home, and did not encourage callers, who always expected a cup of tea. Her ways of life was mean and miserly, but she did not know it. She thought she lived frugally in her middle years so that she could live in comfort and ease when she most needed peace of mind. The years after 40 began to race. Suddenly, Lottie was 60 and retired from her job by her boss's son, who had no sentimental feeling about keeping her on until she was ready to quit. She made several attempts to find other employment, but her dowdy appearance made her look old and inefficient. For the first time in her life, Lottie would gladly have worked for nothing, to have some place to go, something to do with her day. Harry died abroad in a third-rate hotel, with Bess weeping as hard as if he had left her a fortune. He had left her nothing but his horn. There wasn't even money for her passage home. Lottie, trapped by the blood tie, knew she would not only have to send for her sister, but take her in when she returned. It didn't seem fair that Bess would reap the harvest of Lottie's lifetime of self-denial. It took Lottie a week to get a bedroom ready, a week for hard work and hard cash. There was everything to do, everything to replace or paint. When she thought the room looked so fresh and new that Lottie felt she deserved it more than Bess. She would let Bess have her room, but the mattress was so lumpy, the carpet was so worn, the curtains so threadbare that Lottie's conscience pricked her. She supposed she would have to redo that room too, and went about doing it with an eagerness that mistook for haste. When she was through upstairs, she was shocked to see how dismal downstairs looked by comparison. She tried to ignore it, but nowhere to go to escape it. The contrast grew more intolerable. She worked her way from kitchen to parlor, persuading herself she was only putting the rooms to rights to give herself something to do. At night, she slept like a child after a long and happy day of playing house. She was having more fun than she ever had in her life. She was living each hour for itself. She went on a spending spree from the specialty shops to beauty salons, emerging transformed into a woman who believed in miracles. She was in the kitchen, basting a turkey when Bess rang the bell. Her heart raced, and she wondered if the heat from the oven was responsible. She went to the door, and Bess stood there. Stiffly, she suffered Bess's embrace, her heart racing harder, her eyes suddenly smarting from the onrushed cold air. "Oh, Lottie, it's good to see you," Bess said, but saying nothing about Lottie's splendid appearance. Upstairs, Bess, putting down her shabby suitcase, said, "I'll sleep like a rock tonight," without a word of praise for her lovely room. At the lavish table, top heavy with turkey, Bess said, "I'll take light and dark both," with no marveling at the size of the bird, or that there was turkey for 2 elderly women, one of them too poor to buy her own bread. With the glow of good food in her stomach, Bess began to spin stories. They were rich with places and people, most of them lowly, all of them magnificent. Her face reflected her telling, the joys of sorrows for her remembering, and above all, the love she lived by the enhanced the poorest place, the humblest person. She said, "That's enough about me. How have the years been for you?" "It wasn't me who didn't use them," said Lottie Swift wistfully. "I saved for them. I saved for them. I forgot the best of them would go without ever spending a day or a dollar enjoying them. That's my life story in those few words, a life never lived. Now it's too near the end to try." Bess said, "To know how much there is to know is the beginning of life, learning to live. Don't count the years that are left us. At our time of life, it's the days that count. You're too much catching up to do to waste a minute of a waking hour feeling sorry for yourself." Lottie grinned, a real-wide grin. "Well, to tell the truth, I felt sorry for you. Maybe if I had any sense, I'd feel sorry for myself after all. I know I'm too old to kick up my heels, but I'm going to let you show me how. If I land on my head, I guess it won't matter. I feel giddy already, and I like it." So that was a few short stories on Girlhood by Glory Edim, and this book is available for checkout. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I will see you next time on the next Word of Mouth. Take care.